All right, here we go. Our very first podcast, and we're going to have Jenni Jenkins joining us. My name is Art Conforti.
Hi.
My previous life was a retail flower shop, Beneva Flowers and Gifts in Sarasota. A little over 30 years. Started it with my mom and dad in 1986. Um, 1992, I officially bought the business from my parents. 95, my father told me I was going to go broke because I spent money like a drunken sailor because I spent $800 on a AFS Rosebud software system for my website. And all I kept thinking was, there's got to be a better way. We keep doing the same repetitive actions over and over again, expecting different results. And we all know that equals insanity. Well, I kept working on it. I made my move to the road from the single user Rosebud to RTI in 1996. And I never looked back because those were the tools I needed. And when I made that move, everybody thought I had lost my mind. My head was getting big. I'm bigger than I think I am. Who do I think I am? What happened, what I found out is that people around you will judge you on their abilities. If they can't do something, you shouldn't do it either. So I learned that early on because I just knew I was looking at all the flower shops, over 30 flower shops in Sarasota, and they're all struggling. And we go to meetings and we hear one bad story after another bad story. And then I said one day, this is ridiculous. And my ex-wife at the time said, do you think we're in the right industry? I said, we're in the right industry. Nobody knows how to run their business, including us. If we could do, at that time, it was $250,000. I was so proud of that. I said, if we can make $250,000 go through the system and we can't make a few dollars out of that, we have no one to blame but ourselves. Well, that's how I looked at it. I was always that way. So that's when I started. Then the rest of the story, I'm sure by now you can figure it out, but we grew into what we are, 52 employees. We have 300 weddings a year. I have every situation I think you can ever imagine. I have experienced or helped other people because then I developed technology, rolled it out to over 100 florists, and here we are today. And what I'm finding myself doing now is spending a lot of time rehashing everything. I've been pretty much retired, semi-retired for 10 years now, and all I like to do is talk to flower shops, help other flower shops, and help you bridge the gap between where you are now and where you're going. So with that being said, I want to welcome our first guest, Jenni Jenkins, Salisbury Flower Shop, Randolph, Vermont. We all know where that is, right? Hopefully, our half on this part of it. Welcome to the podcast, Jenni. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Art, thanks for having me to your show. I am Jenni Jenkins. I'm the creative executive at Salisbury Flower Shop. I have a long history in the flower industry, mainly being a retail flower shop. Having owned a retail flower shop in Vermont, state capital of Montpelier, and also Barry, Vermont, and having a cut flower farm on top of that. So I know a little bit about the flower industry in rural America.
Got it. And how we met. Let's talk about that. Was it this past Christmas?
Let's talk about it. It was this past Christmas, Art. You called me desperately searching for somebody to deliver some holiday cheer to Norwich, Vermont.
Norwich, that's what it was. Yep.
Yeah. And Norwich
desperate.
is in this. Yeah, you were desperate. And I was like, I'm sorry, Art, I don't go there. But you were like, please. And I was like, well, if you pay the price. And you did, because it's an hour south of me.
No, it was like, please, here's my wallet, here's my bank account, here's whatever you want, my firstborn, my dog, do it all.
Yeah.
But here's the nice thing about you. Here's what really made me realize I was dealing with somebody very special. Not only did you you weren't able to serve me. It was way out of your area. I mean, you're in a tight place. I called. You told me a guy to call. I called him twice. He was not around, couldn't do it. I finally came back to you and said, I tried everything you said, as if you have any responsibility. You don't. You did your part. You were so kind to say, look, if they don't help you, I will. And you didn't gouge me on price. You weren't trying to take advantage. You really didn't want to do it, but
no,
you did it for the sake of the flower industry. This is what makes this industry work. And before I go any further, I want to say this. The value of shops working together is paramount. Once we lose
It,
this and
it's
everybody starts
it's
saying, I'm just,
essential.
I'm just going to get everything off my website. I don't care about the other flower shop. I don't care if I send another order out. Once you do that, you're just putting a nail in the coffin of the flower industry. I don't want this to be something we look back on like milk delivery back in the day. Oh, remember the flower industry? They used to deliver flowers same day. What? Really? What's the big deal? We just click a button and everything happens the same day. If we don't pay attention to technology, what's going on today, and realize that face to face is where it's all at, we're going to lose this and everything's going to be a spreadsheet. It's going to be documents and numbers and graphs, and that's going to cut all the creative florists right out because that's not what they do. They want to make beautiful designs. So thank you for what you did that day. So what happened next is really interesting. Tell them I went to your website. I had an arrangement like make me a $75 blue and white whatever because we don't know any better. Tell me what happened after I
Right.
went to your website.
You went to my website and you saw one of my custom arrangements
The woodland
called
something.
these. Yeah, it was called These Three Trees,
These three.
and they were three little arrangements in a birch bark covered container. It was like you got three little arrangements, with little like middle meter balls on it and whatever for
Right.
like $100. Yeah, and I thought that was super cute because then the receiver could put one like in the kitchen or maybe one in the
Absolutely. I
bathroom
love
if
it.
you're
Love it. Yeah.
entertaining. Yeah, I thought it was a great idea. And I personally thought it was innovated because I'm like, wow, nobody does that. But I feel like there is a florist in Boston that I kind of like look up to a lot.
Of course you do.
Um, Winston Flowers. And I feel like I might have saw something on their website that made me think that.
Inspired you.
Yeah, that inspired me. And even to this day, I have on my website the Crawley sisters, where you can get like two little arrangements, for like whatever, $80, I think,
Wait, no, it's funny that you just, I'm sorry, but it's funny you said that because I just did a video. I don't know if you saw it on Winston's Flowers because it's the number one florist that people ask about. Oh, I want this from Winston's. I'd like to do that from Winston's. I like the way Winston does this. Can I take this image? Can I do this? Here's what you should take from Winston's.
love
Inspiration.
how they have it set up on
But
there.
inspiration, let that
Yeah,
inspire you. And I believe that's what you are doing, which is more than welcome. And that's
exactly.
what the industry needs more of.
Right. And what I like to call myself art is that I'm a seasonal florist. We have 4 seasons, and the seasons in Vermont, they're part of our lives, like every season. It's, we welcome them. They come in with a roar and they leave with a roar sometimes, but seasons are really important to Vermonters. We love our seasons, and that's the type of florist I am. I don't want to be a florist that has like 800 categories on my website, 800 tabs, like romantic, luxury, like new baby, romance, anniversary, da da da, because a bouquet of flowers can say whatever you want it to say. You know what I mean? I
Well,
don't
we're really
believe.
we're a messenger, really, Jenny. I mean, we are the messenger
Yeah,
of an emotion, a feeling, and the flowers just really make you realize how important it is, right? The bigger the bouquet, the more I'm
exactly.
speaking to you, the
Exactly,
more it's like tap locks.
and in Vermont, we emphasize a lot on our local economy, and I have a network of amazing growers that I buy from through the growing season in Vermont, and that makes me be a seasonal florist because that's something that's important to me is sustainability in within my own business or within my community or within the state. I want to support my neighbors first because in turn they support me and then we support us, and that's a very common important motto in the state of Vermont.
Right. Well, that's important because you have a lot of home. It's a hometown feel, right?
It is, all of Vermont is a hometown feel, and that's what makes us unique
Okay.
as a state.
Well, and that's really what it is. It's true. So that goes back to our story, like you were telling me about the website, how important it is. Well, let's talk about your education that you just got. I mean, further
Yeah.
educated. You went out to London, and I'll tell you what, I was living vicariously through you. I felt your passion. I saw how much you were so excited to go. And here you are, a seasoned florist, and anyone with your skills could easily say, I don't need to learn. I don't need to do. But the truth is, we all need to learn. We all need
Oh
to
my
learn.
God.
We can get
There's
stuff
so much I don't
everywhere.
know.
Right, right.
There's
So,
even,
but tell
yeah,
me about that trip. I mean, a short version, how you went
short
there, and what
version.
exactly you got from that.
The short version was it came out of nowhere. Like, hey, I'm going to London to take a class at Judith Blacklock Flower School, which I had taken an online course prior, which I'm kind of still taking and finishing up. A wedding course because I felt like I wanted to brush up on my wedding skills, and I'm just so head over heels in love with the English and their passion for florals and flowers and gardening. Like
So
it's
give me a little
like
takeaway from
amazing.
that. What really stuck out the most?
What stuck out the most to me is how the English really love their gardens.
Yeah.
But what I really learned, and this is very valuable for a lot of people in a lot of situations, is a lot of people ask me, they're like, what did you learn at this course? And I'm like, I learned that I know a lot more than I give myself credit for.
Okay.
And just going there, I did learn some really cool technique. Like I did, which was really important to me. And I learned some really cool mechanics that
Right.
I already knew, but I guess I needed some validation from somebody to say, yes, Jenny, that's right. And what I really enjoy about the English is that they're very traditional in their wedding, or excuse me, in their floral skills with like mechanics, like wiring,
Really? Okay.
which is very, I think, I personally think that's the way to go. I think, a lot of florists are into glue and stuff and this and that. Yeah, glue comes into handy. Absolutely not. I'm not saying I don't use it, but I also feel like wiring's really important because that's what's going to make you stick out from the rest.
Well, let me say two things: wiring and also making enough water source. There's not many.
Yes.
I just commented on a video an hour ago. A lady was making a design in a vase, and there was zero space for water to be added to it. So many times when I used to watch people make designs, I would go right to the water source and see around the edges. Are they leaving enough room? Now, many people are guilty of this, and I know they're going to be watching this and thinking, "Wow, I do that too." Well, we all do. But you got to think about it when you have if you're going to use Oasis, which everyone does at some point. You gotta leave yourself room for the water to go off the sides and into the vase, not onto the
Oh my
table.
gosh, absolutely. You need like
Right.
a little like reserve of
So
water for your.
basic. It's so basic, but so
Yeah,
many people overlook it.
yeah, I always do it. So I'm kind of like, wow, people don't do that.
So then you also went to another school. So what was the other one that you went to?
Oh my gosh, this one's really cool. In the state of Vermont, we have this wonderful florist lady named Allison Ellis, and
Okay.
she's an event and wedding florist, and she's
Right.
been doing wedding event. Basically, she's a wedding florist in Vermont for like 20 something years,
Okay.
and now she has an online school where you can take all these classes that are florist based,
Okay.
like flower math, very important for a lot of florists to know, and a lot of them don't know it. But I took her Art of Good Business.
All
It
right.
was a
All right.
month
Good.
long course where we met once a week online, like
Mm-hmm.
Zoom meetings, like me, her, and a bunch of other people from around the world, just not the United States, the world.
Right.
And we talked about how to run a good business. And so in this class, we learned about vision, goals, and setting, and what are your goals and how to implement those goals.
Okay.
Who's your ideal client? Social media. A lot of florists feel pressured about social media and posting all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time, which is important. But as I learned in Allison's class, like you don't own your social media, like Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook own that, but you own your website, and how important it is to focus a lot of your energy on your website and constantly have it evolve and just not sit there and get stale. And once I learned that class, in January, my margins have improved.
Good, good.
So I put all of these, things into place. Who's your ideal client? Eliminating the competition and, et cetera, et cetera. Very good class. I want every florist, new, old, flower farmer, goes for flower farmer, event florist, home florist, retail florist. Like, it's so important. This class was so valuable.
Okay.
Absolutely so valuable.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you got a lot out of it, but also to come up with a solution or ways to. All right, so you say know your customer. So you have corporate say you want to go after corporate. People ask me all the time this question too. How do I get more corporate business? Well, it's not necessarily interrupt somebody's day and say, we'd like you to order more flowers with us. It's July. Nobody's thinking about it. The point is, hit the engagement, plant the seeds, add the
Yeah.
water. And what do you get when you have seeds and water? From the beginning, you get mud. But the mud
Right.
turns into something if you planted the seeds. So by putting that
Exactly.
time in, you can build something. But I'll give you a tip that I give everybody. I really hope that you'll consider this too. If you look at your Monday paper, you have a list of all the people that got advancements or they moved to a new company, they're doing something new at a business. Send them a little mug because people don't throw mugs away. And you put your little bouquet in there, put a congratulations balloon with it. Whether you like balloons or not, everyone's going to walk by that person's desk all day long and say, what did you do? What's that for? And what are they going to say? I got this from Jenny in Salisbury. I don't even know her, but she sent this congratulations. I guess they posted my job or whatever. The point is, you're paying attention. You're seeing
Right.
people in
And
betterment
branding your
mode.
product. And brand, you're right, Art. And like branding your product. Like I see,
Text you.
I'm out and about a lot and I'll see flowers and I'll know like if it's from a florist.
Right.
And a lot of florists don't, I shouldn't say a lot. I mean, what I've noticed, a majority of them don't brand themselves.
Yep.
They don't put their logo or their business card or whatever on that arrangement. Which is like, simple, but sometimes you're like, wow,
Yeah.
maybe you didn't think about it,
Okay,
but
well,
that's so
but
important.
there's nothing that says this came from this flower shop, and that frustrates me because many times people see a beautiful bouquet, but where did it come from?
Exactly. So you got to brand yourself.
So
That's
when you
so
go to these
important.
classes, when I see them do the AIFD and all this other stuff, it's all great, but we have to get people to appreciate and see what we're doing and get credit for that because you want everyone to know that bouquet came from you. All right, so all that being said, now that takes us to the really towards the latter end of our conversation, but something that you discussed today that you learned, very trivial but very important. We shouldn't offer so many items on our websites. What are people
Yes.
doing? Like more than half of your customers that are buying from you have touched or looked at your website. So when they pick up the phone and say,
Exactly.
I want to place an order, most of the time it follows up with I was looking at your website, I was thinking about this bouquet. So to be cognizant of that is the first step. The second step is to limit your offerings.
Yes.
To have so many items on there is
Yeah, it's
impossible to facilitate that.
I mean, it would for a customer like, and I'm guilty of that. When I first had my website, I had all those
It's
tabs
easy.
just
Load it
because
up. Right.
birthday, new baby, load it up. You're like, oh my god, I have all these options. But like, if someone called me and like, I'm looking at your citrus sunshine, and I'm like, what? I didn't even know that bouquet existed. What's because you have 200 options on your website, and honestly, that's just way too much. Just way too
So
much.
how did they
So
get on your
something,
website?
yeah. So something I learned from Allison Ellis is to eliminate those. I eliminated those, and that's when I'm like, I want to be. I know what sells in my town, in my area. I'm aware.
Right. Right.
Seasonal bouquets, sympathy, um, and that's what I have. In
Okay.
wedding consult. I have a wedding. That's all I have. I have
Okay.
a homepage, spring. I have spring. I still have spring up. Summer. Eventually, spring's going to drop, and I'm going to have
Right.
fall as we get closer to August. And I have sympathy for the home and for a service, whatnot. That's
Right.
what I have, and I have a wedding page, and that's it. And
Right.
it's when people call me, I'm like, hey, I'm looking at Audrey. I know who Audrey is. I name my arrangements after people. So I'm like, oh, I totally know what Audrey is, and I can talk to them intelligently about what is on my website
You
instead of
just gave me an
having.
idea. What if people try to promote themselves in the summer and name the bouquets after customers that order them?
That's what I do. Like
See that?
Alexis, Julia. I can tell you, Alexis. I know her. She
I
works from
love it.
home. She's over there in North Randolph. Julia, she was staying at the Woodstock Inn when I delivered that
See
arrangement.
that? And that's got a meaning. And not only that, but Julia's going to tell the whole world that there's a bouquet named after her.
Right. And when I named the arrangement Alexa, I told the her boyfriend, I think it was her boyfriend, who called. It was like, oh my gosh, I love that arrangement so much. I named it after her. It was a
Right?
designer's choice. And so I named it Alexis. And he gave me a review about my great customer service
Is that
and
right?
how, yeah, and how thrilled he was that I ended up naming that arrangement after his Alexis. And I sell that arrangement a lot. It's a favorite of my customers.
See, well,
So
these are the kind of tips that flower shops need to hear because
be
everything is
original. Oh my
right.
gosh.
Be original.
Like
Love
be
that.
original. Like I name my arrangements after people. Even sympathy arrangements. I have one called the Arrangement of K, and the woman's first name was K. And I've named it. It was this very elegant, like urn style arrangement. I
Okay.
named it the Arrangement of K, and people buy it all the time. So be original.
So the other thing too is how do we get people to buy designer's choice? And let me tell you what I'm finding is one of the challenges. Florists are trying to describe designer choice. Stop. You don't need to. I just did another video, hopefully that you can see, where I was taking an order, and here's what you got to be careful for. Hi, I'd like to place order. Okay, sure. What did you have? Did you have something particular in mind? I was on your website.
Yep.
Try to get them to get that as the inspiration. I'll use that word again, but go off of that to say what price range are you comfortable with and what colors do you like the most predominantly. And by the time you have that combination and that conversation, you take them off of the product and you close them with a fresh arrangement, shades of pink, likes pink roses, $125. There's no more products associated with. Now it's going to be a beautiful bouquet that no one's going to say, I saw that on the web, because guess what? It's not on the web. It's unique, just like you.
It's a custom, yeah.
If we
And
take
here's
it away
another
from that, we can say
discussion.
it's more unique, and that's what we do is we don't want to be a paint by number type of a business.
And Art, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this? I took a like a free boot camp like online webinar thing with Tim Huckabee, and his whole gist was like, why are we the only industry that asks what's your budget? And I was like, "Whoa." It all came to me. I'm like, you're right, Tim Huckabee. Why do we ask people what their budget is when they call and place an order? Do we go to a restaurant and does the server ask us how much do you guys want to spend tonight? Like no. So I thought about that a lot
Okay.
because it's so true. Every florist is guilty. Like we're nervous.
Well,
Like
let me
they
talk to you about that. I've got an answer for you.
yeah.
So, why do we ask that question? I can see why Tim is asking that, but I'm going to tell you why, and I'd like you to consider this as well.
Yeah.
You walk into Neiman Marcus and you know the budget or where you're going to be, and whatever product you buy, it's going to be probably the best of the best or close to it. You know it's not going to be priced as a Target would be. There's nothing wrong with Target, but the point is you're already made that decision to walk into Neiman Marcus. If you're going to buy a car and you walk into the Kia dealership, you have an idea of what you're going to spend. You're not going to go out, you're not going to be thinking about a Mercedes when you're at the Kia dealership. When you go into the Mercedes dealership, you
True.
understand where you are.
That's a good point. Yeah.
When you walk
Yeah.
into a flower shop, you go from Kia to Aston Martin because the florist can make you whatever you want. You need to know
Exactly.
what price range are you comfortable with.
So this is what I have done,
Great
and I
question.
see that it works well. So someone will call me, they're like, yeah, it's a sympathy arrangement. We're sending it to the home, da da da. And I'm like, my sympathy arrangements start at this
Okay.
price. And then after I say that, then they will pick a price.
Okay.
They'll be
Or
like, I
tell
want to
them,
spend a
but
hundred
they
bucks.
start at this point and they can go, here's what I do. Let's just say it's $100. I say, I don't do this mistake of 100, 110, 120, 130, 140. Then I can finish that up. 150, 60, 70. Do it like this. 100 to 150, 200, 300, whatever you're comfortable with.
Right, because
Open it up and
you
talk to them.
right, because if you say 150 to 155, like
Hey,
that's
what's
just one
$5?
flower.
Who could see $5 in an arrangement?
Nobody.
It's a
Well,
half a
I can,
cent.
you can.
But
But
if you had a
like,
hundred, but if you honestly, if you had $150 bouquet and another $150 bouquet, and I told you to find me a $5 difference, it would be pretty hard.
exactly,
Right.
exactly. And nowadays what flower is $5?
So
Well,
that's
in
why
Vermont.
I want to sum this down. And remember, everyone, I don't care who you are, everybody overstuffs. Everybody thinks an extra bloom is going to make it prettier, and I
Yeah, but
tell
that
every,
extra bloom, then you lose profit.
right, and I tell people this: the flower was beautiful when you got it. All you can do is mutilate it or enhance it by putting more around it. It's still a pretty flower. Why do you have to put more? More doesn't make it prettier. It just makes it bigger and
No.
costs more.
Good design skills make it prettier.
Correct. So I love that you brought that point up about why would you ask the price point. So I hope every florist is hearing this. You're asking the price point to understand where that client is. Now you can go within 20 to 30% off of that base. So a customer tells you, Tina, my daughter, one time questioned him on the stage when he said small, sit at a corner a desktop or a coffee table, medium, large. But here's what Tina said. So what would be small? And he's like, well, that's how you do it. But the point was the price point. When you have what's $100 arrangement small to the person in New York compared to $100 arrangement to somebody in Mobile, Alabama? It's two entirely different designs.
Entirely different.
Right. So,
Exactly.
so again, when
Exactly.
you get to price point, you know where the customer is. So if you take a customer from $100 and put another 20% on there, you go to 120. When you have a customer at $40 and you put 20% on it, you're within $10. It's all within the base step. So understand where you're shopping. Every car has four wheels. Why is a Kia one price and a Bentley's another price? And that's what we have to
Exactly.
remember as florists. We can manufacture whatever people want. It's important to understand before you start selling where they are so you can sell accordingly. You're not going to get a $50, $60 customer to spend $150, $60. They'll go from 50, 60 to 75, 80. And that's the ballpark you're working within.
Right. My ballpark average on like an everyday arrangement is 75.
Okay,
75
fair
to
enough.
100.
So
Yeah,
your goal should be to take that person from 75 to 100, not 200.
exactly. And it generally works every time.
Well, you are wonderful. I enjoy talking shop with you. Is there anything else
You
that you wanted to
are?
bring up before we go?
What's that?
Was there anything else that we didn't discuss? Anything you want to bring up?
I just want to, like, I'm a people person just like you. So you grew up in a flower shop.
I did. My father had a flower shop in New York called Concourse Florist, and I was
Okay.
kind of young to work there. So I used to fill the picks, and during the holidays I have to go and foil the poinsettias for the churches. I'm sure many of the old timers remember that. And then when I lived in New Jersey, and my first shop was at a place called Cobby's Florist. I hope Frank's listening to this because he was my first boss, and we are still friends to this day. That's how young he was.
Awesome.
He got into the industry early too. And then from there, I was in the trucking business. My parents retired off to Florida. I came down to visit. Then we thought, wouldn't it be nice to open up a little flower shop? So I came down here. I drove a bus for 3 years. I sold hot dogs, weenies on wheels with a dogaholic discount card. If you buy, it's 8 hot dogs, you get one free. But that's what I did. And then I merged into the flower industry. Let's face it, I didn't go through school wanting to be a florist. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but the Yankees didn't have any room
Sure.
for me. The Knicks couldn't use me. The Giants didn't need me. So what's left? Do what you know best. My father said, learn a trade, you'll never be hungry. And I'm so forever grateful for that because the flower industry was probably the greatest industry I could ever imagine working in because we connect with everyone, we work hard, but at the end of the day, no matter how hard we work, We don't work
Still
as
fulfilled.
hard as the restaurant industry. They work not only
No.
up to the day before like we do. We call it quits on Christmas Eve. These guys in the restaurant industry are working Christmas Day,
You know,
Christmas night.
that's my second part of my life is hospitality. And I have a degree in music. So I have
Oh,
a
wow.
BFA in jazz composition and theory and a minor in performance. So like that's what
Okay.
I did. That's what I did in my 20s, and then in my late 20s is when I got bit by the flower bug.
Well, I'm so glad we met. I mean, what are the chances, right? I mean, I'm calling out an order. You're picking up the phone. You're trying to get rid of me. I won't go away. You end up I mean, you did the job, and I'll never thank you enough for that, even to this day. But I want to
I'm
thank
so
you.
glad too.
And you're our very first call. Who knows where these podcasts are going to go? But I hope florists listen to this and they picked up, if nothing else, just one little tidbit of something that helps their life a little bit better. Because we need more florists. I mean, florists need to realize this. We've got to help each other. We've got to get some more florists into this industry because it is a great industry.
It is a great industry.
There's a
It
young
is.
gal in this. Her father owns Central Square Florist in the Boston area. She is so
Central
wonderful.
Square.
I wish we had more young energy like that coming into the industry. So maybe it's comments like this and seeing Matt coming into the industry, even on the tech side at 18, 19 years old, we'll get more people to say, what's going on in the flower industry? Because it really is a lot of fun. And I
It
met a
is a
lot of
lot of
great
fun.
people doing it too.
Yeah, I have met so many great, amazing people, especially in this next chapter of my floral
Yeah, if you
journey
don't
that I'm
mind, give
in.
me one person. Just give me one person you'll never forget that you met because of the flower industry.
Wow.
Just
I mean,
someone.
you would be one of them, but I
Oh,
think
thanks.
I think Allison Ellis
Okay.
really put a great impression on me. She's a wonderful human
Any
being, and
celebrities, sports athletes, or anything like that you
no,
remember?
I'm not really into
Musicians,
sport.
singers, songwriters,
Oh
anybody?
my God, I love Chet Baker.
Okay, like we had Stephen King right down the street. I mean,
Oh, really?
yeah, he used to come and I had a Murano collection of glass. He had every piece I had. He loved it. So, I
Wow.
mean,
I love
again,
Chet Baker, man. I wish
okay.
Chet was still with us.
We
I
had
love Chet Baker.
Brian Johnson, AC/DC, Frankie Valli. I mean, when Donna Summer was performing, I mean, so many great people. Guess what? They all need flowers. And if you want to meet them, all you have to say is, I need to have them sign for this. That's okay. I'll take it. I'm sorry. I need to send it to them. And then if you tell the person that's trying to stop you, and may I have your name, please? Oh, go in. Go ahead. And then you get to meet someone that you want to meet. I mean, there's a lot of great ways to get in the door.
Right, exactly.
Jenny, thank you very much. Matt, how do we wrap
Thank
this
you,
up?
Art.
Thanks again. I look forward to talking to you, and we'll keep this going.
And then we need exit music as
We
well as
do, we
We
do.
will have
They're,
exit
they're going to
music.
do all that
Yeah.
magic.